Short video today, Friday. Happy Friday. I want to talk about balance. I think it's so important and it touches everything in music, any art form for that matter. Um, if you're an artist and think about balance, and I want to talk about what balance means to me for music. And this is not all of them, but for me, balance is about from a let's say a very simple, just a space perspective. Leaving room, leaving room for other people to play, um, leaving room in your own playing, in your own phrasing. Uh, you know, leave gaps. Sometimes spaces are just the most amazing sounding things, and they just make the things that you play so much more important. Um, it's almost like somebody who talks too much, like myself. It's those people who say fewer words. Sometimes their voice is a lot louder. So and this is. I think space and leaving room is like such a underutilized tool, and it takes sensitivity and I think maturity. Um, you know, listen, spending as much time listening as talking with your instrument, I think is really important. Uh, and so that's a really important one. Some of my most favorite artists, are just masters of using space, um, either rhythmically or harmonically, melodically. Their phrase ideas, they choose like when not to play as their device. It's equally as powerful as the stuff they decide to play. So I like that. Balance in your dynamics. Are you always playing at the same intensity? Uh, your volume, is it always at 10, or can you move between just, can you really play with your dynamics? Um, you know, Legato, staccato, uh, crescendos. Like, does your music does it have balance in its dynamics, or are you always playing, with the same level of attack? Um, it's boring if it's always like if you're going 100% all the time, it gets boring. If you're going at 15% all the time, it's boring. But when you're going from like 1% to 80%, and you're moving around, that's much more artistic, in my opinion. Uh, Harmonically speaking, having balance in, even just the types of chords you choose to play. Do you tend to always voice your chords with like sevenths and ninths and 11ths and 13ths, and do you always voice your chords with just plain vanilla um, triadic shapes? Um, you know, balancing the complexity of those harmonies is nice to hear. Uh, if every chord in your chord progression is fully fleshed out and fully colorful, how do you? It just gets washed away by the overuse. There's nothing sweeter sounding than hearing a very stripped down chord, and then juxtaposed with something more complex. balance, in your harmony, in your complexity. Um, Melodic complexity and simplicity. Same idea. If your melodic lines are highly complex and they don't leave any room to digest, or they can become exhausting. And I'm sure you've all been to shows where you see some virtuoso who just goes, but after 10 minutes, it's like you're exhausted, because it's like an auditory assault, and me personally, I need rest. I need balance. I need, you think of some of the best, solos you ever hear. They move between slow and long notes and gaps with, sometimes bursts of complexity, and then they simplify. This kind of balance is really is what makes that so good. Is what makes those parts just jump right out. Those wow moments. Those wow moments don't exist without that calm. The setup. And that requires balance. It's all part of that package. In your songwriting, there's a reason why the AABA pop writing song format works so well. It's a balancing act. You've got 2 bars of typically this sort of more subdued verse portion, and then you get this higher energy chorus version, your B section, returning back to this subdued A section. It's that balancing act that makes that have sold millions and millions and millions of records. People like the sound of that. The balance between the kick drum and the snare, the balance between, a bass note on the low E string and a guitar player and singers finding a space in the right registers, that balance is it's so important. On that note, I'm a bass player originally, and I gotta tell you, there's nothing more annoying as a bass player to hear guitar players playing all your bass notes. It's the worst thing in the world. It just sounds muddy. So for you guitar players out there, lay off the bass strings a little bit. That's what your bass player's for. And vice versa to those bass players who can't stay out of the, can't leave room for, the vocalists or the keyboard player, or even the guitar player. Balance out, when playing an ensemble, balance out where you're playing, when you're playing, what you're playing. Anyways, that's my rant for today. I don't mean to sound preachy. I just think it's just one of these things that's so critical. And it doesn't just apply to music. I mean, I cook. I'm a visual artist as well. And balance, you find balance in every art form. Balance equals contrast, equals complementary You know, there's a reason why vanilla ice cream tastes so good on a hot piece of apple pie. You know, the tangy heat and the cold cream is just that is a balance. It's like magical. Anyways, enough about that. I'm gonna leave it at that today. Enjoy your weekend. I hope that didn't come off as too preachy.